probably have you stand right here.
Yeah, you can go closer.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
We'll do it in English.
Yeah, for sure. And we can hold these, don't worry.
Just look at the camera.
Which one?
Okay, well, first of all, congratulations and welcome home. And first of all, and second of all, congratulations for finishing your MA or MBA program in Singapore.
It's very long 2 years.
It's a long time.
Very grateful that I was able to finish it.
Okay.
Very
Đúng rồi, dạ đúng rồi. Thật ra chắc là mình thấy hơi khó để mà có thể thực hiện.
Well, before you finished your classwork and your thesis for your programs, did you write something special about your journey, for the very quick journey to Vietnam?
Yeah, I did. No, this is something I've been working on since my undergrad years.
Okay.
I graduated Yale in 2008.
Okay.
I visited Vietnam for the first time in 2007.
All right.
So for the first time that I visited, I started writing a piece more than 10 years ago about my experiences in Vietnam, about being on one side of the war and experiencing people on the other side. The piece that I wrote that the Vietnamese government came across and that I recently published was 10 years in the making, and it's more or less, from a Vietnamese American perspective, is an effort to establish a neutral position in terms of history. My family was on the southern Vietnamese side. The government that runs Vietnam nowadays is on the northern Vietnamese side. So growing up in the U.S., growing up as a Vietnamese American citizen, I had to more or less understand that I came from one side of history and reach across the aisle and understand the other side of history.
So when it comes to, I guess, you being there and experiencing what you experienced, did you ever think that by you taking part in a protest you would be detained and go through what you went through?
Did I think I would be detained? No. Did I know that I was participating in something sensitive? Yes. I understood that the Vietnamese Constitution was modeled across the American and French constitutions. Ho Chi Minh designed the Constitution of Vietnam in 1945 using the American and French models. I knew that the rights were established to participate in assembly and protest. I knew that these things were legal in theory. What I was explained to after I was arrested was that, yes, while the Constitution guaranteed these rights, Vietnam had yet to establish a law guaranteeing these activities, which meant that my participating in them or any kind of protest was quote-unquote illegal.
So that time in jail, what was that like? For us that obviously do not know what that like, walk us through, paint us a picture.
Well, I stayed in a jail that was established by the French. I stayed in Chi Ha prison, which was established in the 1940s, which is infamous for its, I want to say, its backwardness or its a Stone Age status. It wasn't anything like Orange is the New Black or any kind of American prison. It was quite primitive in the sense that we slept on cement floors. Our toilet, our sink, our shower was a hole in the ground. We had water that we had to refill every day. It certainly wasn't modern in any sense of the word.
So when they arrested you, did they know right away or how long before they find out that you are a U.S. citizen?
No, I mean I don't know. So after the violence in the streets, I was taken to the police station. I had my student ID in my backpack, which said I was an American student studying in Singapore.
Okay.
I would assume at that point that they knew that I was not a Vietnamese citizen, but that's as far as I remember of them not knowing that I was a foreigner.
How did they treat you, both the Vietnamese national and the U.S. citizen, once they arrested you?
I mean, that is definitely a tough question because as far as awareness goes, they all knew I was a foreigner. They knew that the world was watching. My treatment outside of the protests, my treatment outside of Lý Tiến Thắng and Nam Kỳ Có Nghĩa, outside of that, they did not lay their hands on me at all. To say that their treatment of me was kind is true, but we also have to take into context the fact that they knew that the world was watching, and they knew that they had to treat me with a certain form of decency.
And Will, you didn't know so many people were backing you up.
I did not.
We're talking about across the country, legislators, people tweeting, Facebooking. When you finally found that out, what were your main thoughts behind that?
I spoke to the consulate maximum 3 times. I had been in jail for about a week or 2, and then I spoke to the American consulate, and they told me that it had gone to levels of Congress, to the representatives, to senators. To be sure, I thought that they were saying that to put pressure on the Vietnamese government. I wasn't sure what to make of that. After a couple of weeks of being in prison and realizing that they were treating me better than Vietnamese citizens, for instance, I started realizing that was true. I mean, for me, that's a very complex question, just because I realize that even in an authoritarian system like Vietnam, you have a lot of good people, and I met, even within the system, even within the prison, I had prison wards who more implicitly apologized for, say, putting handcuffs on me, or apologized for treating me this way. They knew my intentions were good. They knew that what was happening was unjust, but they knew, because they had to follow orders from above, that this was something that they had to do. And that was something I sympathized with. I was asked to sympathize many steps of the way, from being held at the police station to being in the prison. I was asked to sympathize because people knew that my intentions were good, but people also knew that their jobs were on the line. They had to do these things, whether they wanted to personally or not. And that I understood every step of the way. They could put me in handcuffs, they could put me in a prison cell. I wasn't upset about it. I knew that somebody was ordering them to do this, and they were just following orders. Their livelihoods depended on it. So I think that if we're going to confront any kind of injustice in Vietnam, we would have to look at the leaders first.
And let me have a quick question, Will. Let me have your thought about the first time you step on the U.S. soil when you come back from Vietnam. And second, are you now the same Will before June 10, when you got arrested by the government?
That's difficult to say. The first time I stepped on Vietnamese soil was in L.A. I flew to Chicago through L.A. And when I stepped off the plane, I had a random Vietnamese American recognize me as the protester who was arrested in Vietnam, which was surprising for me, just because I was still getting used to the fact that people knew that I had been arrested in Vietnam. As far as impression goes, that surprises me as much then as it does now, just because I feel like my participating in that protest was not a big deal for me, but the fact that it blew up like this continually surprises me. I don't, I guess, understand or can soak in why it blew up the way it did.
Well, this is going to be a sensitive question here. Was it true the foreign minister spokesperson keeps saying that they never touched you, no one even come close to you, and that you were arrested like everyone else, but video and pictures have proved that you have bloody head and you were dragged away by 4 men? So can you clarify
That,
that?
I mean, that is absolutely true. So I think this is something that the world.
Tilt a little bit. Sorry, tilt a little bit this way.
This is something the world.
There we go. Sorry.
This is something the world should know. Is that the Vietnamese government, when it does oppress politically active citizens, it does so through indirect means. As in, it hires people, it hires thugs, or it hires indirect means to abuse people. So, for example, the people that took me into custody were plainclothes citizens. They were not part of the Public Security Bureau. They would never wear the uniform of like they would never be official citizens, which gives the government space to say that they were never violent towards the citizens. But citizens inside the country and outside the country know that this is something that this is very commonplace. In order to stifle dissent, they hire these third-party thugs to abuse dissenters, to abuse protesters. I'm well aware of the fact that the people who beat me on the streets were plainclothes officials, and in fact, when I was taken to the police station, they tried to tell me that these people were unaffiliated with the government, which makes no sense because these people were also the same people who dragged me onto a police truck. So it was very clear that these people that beat me on the streets were affiliated with the government. At the same time, I understood why it was happening, but you didn't have the space to say it in terms of confessional videos or anything like that. Your space was very limited.
How were you this experience?
How am I experiencing life?
How were you your media coordinator?
I mean, that's very hard to say. I'm having trouble processing it, to be sure. I'm having as much trouble processing my time in prison as I am processing the media exposure. I think both things are equally surprising in the sense that as soon as I stepped out of Vietnam, I had my family showing me video clips. I had people telling me that they were proud of my actions. I just haven't had the time to process what I have done.
Would you do anything different?
Well, I didn't know I was coming back home until the verdict was announced. And even then, it was quite surprising. My trial was 20th of July. Up until I was standing in front of the judge, I was looking down the barrel of the gun. I was looking at 2 to 7 years. They had me under the Disabling Public Order statute, the second article, which is a more serious article, specifically disturbing traffic, which had me liable for 2 to 7 years in Vietnamese prison. So up until that point, I honestly did not know if I was going to experience more jail afterwards or just be deported.
What do you want to say to the people that help you get back?
I don't know where to start with that. I mean, my sister Victoria, my college friend Mary, they've done so much that I can't wrap my mind around that. There's going to be a thank you tour that we're going to start tomorrow if we can, and then in September when Congress gets back in session, we're going to be heading to Washington to thank everybody for their efforts.
And well, what's next for you now that you have a master's degree and you're home? What are your plans?
I will be writing for sure. I think because the Vietnamese government has a tenuous grasp on the truth of what actually happened, I think there is a lot of space to explain what went down that day, the politics behind what went down that day, why they did these things, what will happen because of this, and the politics moving forward. I think on the surface, there's a lot that people do not know in terms of post-Vietnam War politics, the Vietnamese American community, where the Vietnamese government sees my actions in terms of participating in a protest that disputes their policies. I know my first few weeks in custody, they were convinced that I was trying to overthrow the government. But for a lot of Vietnamese Americans my generation, I think the space in terms of disagreeing with government policy, but also not opposing their status as a legitimate government body, that's something that needs to be worked out. I for one, was not somebody who wanted to overthrow the government, and I think that's what differentiates my case from Michael Nguyen, who's currently imprisoned in Vietnam right now. I believe he's under charges of overthrowing the government. And I think the fact that I was able to explain my case, the fact that I was able to explain that I'm trying to keep as neutral a position as possible in terms of being second generation Vietnamese American. That is something that I would like to expose more to the media in America. I think the fact that Vietnamese overseas speak out against the Vietnamese government goes beyond being for or against the current Vietnamese government.
Have you got any clue, thousands of people there, and why they single you out? Is that because you say the word democracy for Vietnam?
That I don't know. So I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the fact that things got as big as they did. I think, you know, using like dân chủ, like that. Yeah, exactly. Like, for me, that wasn't a big deal because, you know, the government always professes to say that they are like chính phủ dân chủ, like they like vì dân, vì, you know, vì công, like vì nhân dân phục vụ, like, you know, these kinds of things. So I think using the word democracy for me wasn't as dangerous. So when I said I'm happy that I'm participating in these democratic activities, I didn't think they were very sensitive.
Will, once again,
Will,
welcome home.
Thank you.
Take a lot of rest, okay?
Yes, thank you.
một chút xíu cho những cái đài Việt Nam ở đây
Đúng như vậy.
cũng như là đại diện cho đài VOA thì có một cái câu hỏi dành cho Will, đó là Will tình cờ tham gia cái cuộc biểu tình ngày hôm đó hay là Will đã có những cái dự định trước?
No, tình cờ vì Will đã mua vé like mấy tuần trước rồi. Mình mua vé về Việt Nam vì mình sắp sửa tốt nghiệp, cho nên mình muốn đi du lịch. I wanted to have a vacation before I got my diploma, so I had booked my tickets before. Cái đó thì mình chứng minh được mà giống như khi Việt Nam điều tra thì họ không tin là mình về mình muốn du lịch. Họ hỏi, họ có hỏi hoài là cái mục đích của mình về là cái gì mà không tin là mình chỉ muốn đi du lịch thôi. Cái biểu tình ngày 10 tháng 6 thì cái đó là cái tình cờ mình có cái cơ hội tham gia thì mình lấy cái cơ hội đó.
Khi mà tham gia cái cuộc biểu tình đó rồi cũng như là bị cộng sản Việt Nam bắt giam ở trong nhà giam thì qua cái chuyện đó thì Will có những cái gọi là những cái kinh nghiệm gì cũng như là kinh nghiệm gì?
I mean, that's hard to say. Cái kinh nghiệm gì thì
gọi là nhận ra một cái điều gì về Việt Nam hay không, có những cái thay đổi về cái cách nhìn của Việt Nam?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And then, do you mind if I pull this out?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think
Nhưng mà nếu mà nói càng tốt hơn về tình trạng Việt Nam
see, I mean, it's hard to say in the sense of thì cái đạo đức của cái trường hợp này cũng khó nói vì cái chống cộng, thâm cộng thì cái đó là cái trắng đen quá thì mình tiếp xúc với những người ở bên đó, tiếp xúc với những người mà họ làm chính phủ thì mình muốn cảm với họ, mình hiểu là họ phải làm gì thôi, họ không đồng ý, họ phải làm gì thôi vì những người lãnh đạo at the top. Thì they have to listen for orders. Tức là cái họ không muốn làm gì. Họ xin lỗi. Nó là tính tốt. Không muốn làm nhưng mà mình phải làm thôi vì có lực. Thì cái đó, cái trường hợp đó thì mình gặp nhiều lần lắm. Khi mình vô Chí Hòa thì mình gặp rất nhiều người họ thông cảm với hành động của Will, nhưng mà họ hiểu họ phải theo cái
situation, so I feel like I did what I could. I mean, ở trong tù thì trong trại giam thì họ đối xử với Will như thế nào?
cũng rất tốt. Nó thực sự là họ đối xử rất tốt. Vì thì lúc trước thì Will cũng không hiểu cái lý do vì sao thì không hiểu. Họ nói là Will nổi tiếng mà Will không tin đó, cho nên thì Will cũng nghĩ là họ chỉ nói vậy thôi. Nhưng sau khi thì mình hiểu là người ta đối xử mình khác với những người ở trong buồng mình, thì Will mới hiểu là
Cái sự khác biệt đó bởi vì Will là người có quốc tịch của Hoa Kỳ, trong những người mà tham gia biểu tình ngày hôm đó, những người mà mang quốc tịch Việt Nam thì chắc chắn là họ bị đối xử khác. Sau này khi mà Will trở lại đây thì Will sẽ đọc những cái khác đối với những người mà của Việt Nam cũng tham gia biểu tình bên cạnh của Will ngày đó, thì có cái sự đối xử khác biệt rất là rõ ràng. Cái đó là chắc là do khi mà họ phát hiện ra Will là người mang quốc tịch của Hoa Kỳ, cũng như là báo chí của Hoa Kỳ đã lên tiếng rất nhiều, thì đó có cái sự đối xử khác biệt như vậy. Thì sau này khi mà tham gia biểu tình trong cái ngày hôm đó cũng là lần đầu tiên Will tham gia biểu tình ở Việt Nam hay không, thì Will cảm nhận như thế nào đối với những người xung quanh, những người yêu nước bày tỏ cái lòng yêu nước của mình trong cái cuộc biểu tình ngày hôm đó, thì Will thấy những người đó như thế nào?
Cái đó Will không có tính tới. Khi mình tham gia thì mình chỉ muốn giúp người thôi, mình không có tính tới người địa phương. Mình làm cái gì giúp được thì mình giúp thôi, chứ ngoài đó thì Will không có tính tới cái hậu quả hoặc là mình bị bắt hay không. Thì mình người ta biểu tình thì mình làm cái gì giúp được thì mình giúp thôi, chứ Will không có tính ngoài đó.
Nghĩa là Will chưa có lường trước được cái kết quả khi mà tham gia, phải không? Nhưng mà khi mà cái kết quả đã xảy ra với Will như vậy rồi, thì về tương lai sau này Will có đồng hành với những người yêu nước của Việt Nam nữa hay không?
Đương nhiên là sẽ đồng hành nữa. Nhưng bây giờ thì cái trường hợp nó phức tạp hơn thì mình phải tính đến cái hậu quả tham gia thế nào. Mình muốn tham gia, bây giờ mình không biết tham gia thế nào.
Nghĩa là bây giờ á, sau cái lần đầu tiên tình cờ tham gia để biểu tình, thì bây giờ Will muốn tham gia thì Will phải có những cái dự tính kỹ lưỡng hơn để mà tránh những cái kết quả đáng tiếc xảy ra, đúng không?
Đúng rồi, thì cái đó thì mình phải tính trước, mà cái đó thì rất phức tạp. Cái đó mình thì bây giờ không nói được.
Cho chú hỏi Will cái này. Nhà nước Việt Nam nói Will mang về Việt Nam 1.700.000 đô la.
Cái đó là tin tức giả.
Fake news.
Cái đó là mọi người biết rồi, nó không ai tin được.
Đúng rồi.
Làm sao mà mình mang số tiền ở trong ba lô mình được?
Tức là họ nói láo.
Đúng rồi, cái đó thì rất vô lý thôi, nó không ai tin được.
Ok.
Cái nói thế nào ha? Cái truyền tiền đó. The fact that the Vietnamese government will do this, I think speaks to the fact that they lack integrity. Họ có cái trò mà chơi với sự thật như vậy. Họ không có bao giờ lấy cái lòng dân được. Cái này là rõ ràng là cái này là không sự thật. Mình làm gì mà mình trả tiền những người biểu tình. Đó là coi rẻ những người địa phương mà họ biểu tình đó.
Rồi một câu hỏi cuối nè. Một câu hỏi cuối. Đáng lý ra Will được thả trong vòng những cái giây phút đầu tiên, những cái tiếng đầu tiên. Sau khi mà bạn của Will vào đồn công an đóng phạt 700.000 đô la, họ nói là trong vòng 1 tiếng đồng hồ 700.000 tiền Việt Nam. Xin lỗi. Tức là bạn bè vô đó họ hứa là sẽ đóng tiền phạt 700.000 đi tiền Việt Nam, rồi họ sẽ thả ra trong vòng 1 tiếng đồng hồ. Nhưng bạn bè chờ 2-3 tiếng thì họ vẫn chưa thả, thì hỏi công an thì công an nói là tại vì Will không nhận tội, không ký giấy nhận tội cho nên họ không thả. Đó, thì đó là những người bạn nói.
Will không biết cái lý do mà họ không chấp nhận mình chở trong cái sợ đó mấy tiếng mà họ không thả mình, thì Will con không biết cái lý do vì sao.
Will có thể trả lời câu này nếu mà Will muốn, là trong cái video mà Will make cái confession đó là nhận tội đó. Cái đó là trả lời sau ha. Ok. Rồi, tôi cảm ơn Will. Cảm ơn Will.
Đã tham gia trong cái cuộc trả lời phỏng vấn ngày hôm nay. Chắc chắn là chúng ta sẽ quay lại với Will, với cộng đồng.
Sốc. Cặp đôi ở Thái Nguyên đang quan hệ tại quán trà sữa thì bị nhân viên bắt tại trận. Rạng sáng nay mùng 3 tháng 8, cộng đồng mạng không ngừng xôn xao và choáng váng trước những hình ảnh và clip ghi lại cảnh một cặp đôi quan hệ tình dục ngay tại quán trà sữa tại tỉnh Thái Nguyên. Bằng chứng là chỉ sau ít giờ được đăng tải, đoạn clip đã nhanh chóng đạt hàng triệu lượt xem cùng với rất nhiều lượt chia sẻ và bình luận. Theo đó, đôi tình nhân trẻ ngang nhiên cởi đồ, ôm hôn thân mật và thực hiện hành vi quan hệ tình dục ngay tại quán trà sữa. Không những vậy, cặp đôi còn ngồi lên bàn rồi nằm ra sàn quan hệ thoải mái như đang ở chốn riêng tư. Sự việc còn trở nên cao trào và